Hi, I'm Molly.
And I'm Janaya. This is our interview with Pacha Light. Pacha is a 19-year-old surfer born in Ecuador but is currently based in Australia.
She's very passionate about protecting Ecuador's rainforests and the environment. We hope you enjoy this interview.
So our first question for you is, your name is really cool. Does it have like a special meaning behind it?
Yeah. So pretty much I was born in the mountains of Ecuador, so right in South America on the equator. And the local indigenous people, they all kind of come from the Runasami and Incan cultures. And Pacha, we thought for a while, my mom named me Pacha because it was Pachamama, which means Mother Earth. And then recently, after doing some research, I found out Pacha by itself is translated into tiempo espacio, so like space time. So like they say like universe. So I only learned that like a couple of years ago, and I'm like, whoa, like no pressure.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Such a gorgeous name.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's been really cool like finding out more about that culture and yeah, getting into it.
For anyone who doesn't know who you are and your surfing story, could you give us a brief rundown?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a 19-year-old professional surfer based on the Gold Coast, and my surfing journey, it kind of started from when I was like 9 years old, and a lot of people at school, they were going to do school netball or soccer on the weekends, and it was fun, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more in nature. And so we drove along the beach and we found a local board riders club happening. And they just were like, oh, here's a soft top. Do you want to have a go? And I was like, oh, okay. And so me and my younger brother, he's 2 years younger than me, we were hooked. And so I really wanted to buy my first surfboard. And one day I just decided, okay, I don't have enough money for that. Find a way, and I decided to start busking. So dancing with like a little hat to raise
Ooh.
money to buy my first
Wow.
board. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And one day I decided to do it at the Roxy Pro on the Gold Coast. Like I didn't know anything about surfing at all, but I decided to just dance there. And this teenager came and started dancing with me, and I was like, okay, this is strange. Like just started dancing with her. And went away, and she came back and had a surfboard in her hands. And it turned out to be Laura Enova. And she just gave me one of her backup boards and like gave me the gift of surfing, truly. Like I was so in love with it then. And I surfed every single day on this thin, tiny board and just loved it. And yeah, here we are.
Obviously you're a female surfer and there wasn't equal pay in the past for male and female surfers. So is it great now that there's equal pay, and why is it so important that both genders get an equal amount of money?
Yeah, so I think it was a couple of years ago, there was the big announcement of that equal pay kind of rollout. And I guess looking back into surfing's history, it has the strong line of male dominated and like it was the guys' sport. You think about like our parents, learning and growing up surfing. If they did, like it was a thing that girls weren't supposed to do. And it's incredible to see this progression, even in the past 10 years, with girls just amping it up and really giving the men kind of run for their money. But I think there's a bit of a new perspective coming into play that female surfing has always been like there's a special kind of like it's like a dance, and it's seen in ancient Hawaiian cultures. The women were the surfers, and their surfing style was different but beautiful in its own way. And I think that's come to a place where we can celebrate it the same way that we love male surfing. And we can be 100% honest, like for sure there's male and female surfing are different, and that's fine, but it's amazing to have that recognition, and it kind of motivates you to like try harder, do what the boys are doing, you're in that same scale. But so it's been incredible, and a lot of the competitive female surfers are finally feeling like they're being able to do what they love and compete and not have that financial kind of stress. So yeah, it's been amazing to watch. Yeah,
it's great because you also are a great inspiration to young girls that want to learn how to surf. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for beginner surfers or people that want to start surfing?
Yeah, for sure. Truly it is the closest thing you can get to magic, honestly. It is such an incredible connection with nature, with the ocean, and with each other. And you kind of surfing with your friends, and it's that unity, and you find your kind of surf tribe, and you'll support each other. It can be a little bit daunting, especially if you're a bit older. You can start to like be very critical of yourself and like I can't do this, or you know what I mean. And so it's very important to be kind to yourself and to take it step by step when you're first getting into the ocean, and that it is totally new and totally can be very unpredictable. So it's okay if you have days where you might not stand up, or you might get a big tumble. That is another part of it, because then you appreciate the beautiful days and you get long waves. And it's incredible, and I recommend it to everybody. I think if the whole world kind of surfed, especially some sort of big leaders kind of took to the waves, they definitely understand that stronger connection to our planet. Yeah.
What goes through your mind when you're out in the ocean waiting for a wave?
Yeah, so being out there, especially, when you have a couple of sessions to yourself, you're fully in the moment and you're completely present, and you're kind of watching everything that the ocean's doing. And so you start to learn more of the ocean and the currents and the winds and even the little ripples. And it feels like you're forming a relationship with the water. And so it definitely, brings that deeper connection to it. And also it just makes you feel like you're really a part of something. And it's amazing for me kind of growing up and like in school and dealing with a lot of those sort of realities of the high school cliques and everything that goes on. And I could just go in the water, forget about everything of that, like everything, and just focus on what I was doing. And it became a bit of like a meditation, and I could like just calm myself down and feel excited again. And it was just like the perfect sort of place I could go. Yeah.
How did your passion for the environment begin?
Yeah, so pretty much my mum is an environmental activist, and my dad has done a lot of forest conservation in Ecuador. So I was pretty much born into it, and we lived in a off-the-grid house with no electricity and in the deep cloud forest of Ecuador, at a place that was in big mining threats. So I learned from a really young age that you can do as much as you want to protect the place that you love, and to kind of have that sort of action and believing in yourself to help preserve and protect all these incredible places that we love. But yeah, recently it's been amazing to stem that into surfing and have this whole like kind of moment where you're so connected to nature when you're out there. You even want to protect it even more, you're in it every day. You don't want to see the ocean kind of be polluted or destroyed. So it makes it more personal, which is nice, and you really try really hard to protect it. But yeah, I'm still definitely learning and excited to just soak up all the wisdom from amazing kind of scientists and marine biologists all around the world. So yeah, I think that's the next step for me.
So speaking of science, what would you say to those that are skeptics and don't see the environment as a pressing issue that needs solving? What would you say to them?
I feel like it's really hard because our generation, we were born into this. We didn't we weren't there as it was taking place. We're in this place where the climate is heating up year by year, and I think as in Australia, it's at the forefront of everything and how we live. Most of us are on the coast, and we're seeing this erosion and rising sea levels, and people who are more inland have big threats of the bushfires, like how they kind of came about last year with such a ferocious energy. There was so much trauma, and I think it's heartbreaking to hear people kind of not believe it when it is in their face. But
Yeah.
also we have to know that it's our generation, and then like our kids are going to be the ones who have to face the biggest part of it. And so like we've got the most responsibility to stop it. And I think, inspiring people like Greta Thunberg and a lot of youth climate activists and schools strike for climate, like it's amazing to see these movements come up. And for those people who question it, it's like, you got to listen, and you got to make them listen. It's like, yeah, it's time for us to all step up.
What are your views on the school strikes for climate, and do you think they are effective?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's definitely like, it's all about sending that message and doing it peacefully, but also, yeah, getting people to listen. And if that's a way to get that awareness and to get those leaders watching, I completely, yeah, agree and support them. And I'm not in school anymore, but definitely striking most Fridays and in my own way. And it's our generation who are stepping up to it, and it's so inspiring. So yeah, I'm hoping, crossing fingers, that those leaders will be listening. But everybody should be so proud of themselves anyway. I think it's got an amazing traction. Yeah.
What do you consider good environmental leadership, and do you consider yourself an environmental leader?
Wow. I think everybody has their own sort of path and purpose within this, and I'm very, very lucky that I've had so much time learning from even my parents and people all around the world involved in such big movements and sometimes it can get really overwhelming. But yeah, I think I try to bridge people over into a place that they can take in that information. And so whether that be just showing everybody how fun surfing is, and start to weave in little messages that come about, and just by people, showing interest in what I'm doing, I get to link them with really cool organizations that support their local area and things like that. But I think there's amazing people who are really leading kind of grassroots initiatives all around the world and in your local areas. And so, yeah, it's all about just researching and finding out who you can be involved with, for sure.
Do you ever feel like the government don't listen to young people like yourself when considering things that may impact our future?
I think so. In the past, definitely, there's some big issues that we're facing right now that could have been avoided and that have been sort of campaigned for. And I was very young at the time, but like me and my mum and my brother, we were protesting in far north Queensland to stop kind of selling coal from that area, and now we've got the big campaign of Stop Adani, and so it's hard to see certain things slip away, but I think it's all about to sort of, yeah, everybody has to jump on it, and anything that we can ever do, you know, it's all about uniting and supporting each other in that, and to not lose hope. That's a big one. Yeah, because I guess our resources are running out, but also these incredible environment and kind of climates are also disappearing, and that will be heartbreaking to see. It's very, very sad for even our future generations. So it's all about doing as much as you can.
So speaking of the environment, of course, it's sad to see it dying, but what do you do whenever you feel sad about what's happening, and how do you stay optimistic?
Yeah, it's a very, very big one, because I guess you can easily kind of get sucked into that cycle where you feel hopeless. And it was, yeah, I've definitely faced that quite a bit. And I'm very lucky to have certain protected areas around where I live that I can sort of go to and spend time by myself and just realize that life will go on and that it will continue to thrive. But unfortunately, if we keep going how we're going, it's very unlikely that we'll be there to witness it. And so it's all about just knowing that we've done as much as we can, and it's hard that it's all up to maybe 1% of the population. It's all up to their decisions, but I think that 99%, we make our voices heard. That 1% has to switch over. So it's those little things and those little switches, and everything can be a message. So yeah.
How has your relationship with nature and the ocean changed you?
Oh, it made me feel like I'm just like a part of like a big family, and being in the ocean every day or being in the forest every day in your local area, you start to just pick up on different unique things and be amazed again. And I think there's this philosophy about kind of who we are as humans and nature and the earth, and we used to always think that it was separate, and that humans are on the earth and we don't really have anything to do with that. But in truth, I think that everything is connected, and it's almost like the butterfly effect, like every like living thing, including plants, has a responsibility and a place in the ecosystem, and so do we. And I think that's amazing to know that yeah, we have the power to make differences and to protect places, and just that feeling of kind of belonging. Yeah, I really, really love it. Yeah.
So if you had the power to make any two changes globally without anyone to stop you, what would you do?
Oh, that's a big one. That's such a good question. Gosh, I think it would be to have that kind of effect on those big global leaders and politicians and kind of corporations that are, solely thinking of profit, and remind them. And it'd be amazing if they just kind of woke up tomorrow and just, oh, I'm a part of the earth. Like, let's treat it like it's a mother, and it's sustained us for so long. Let's find ways that we can continue that in more gentle ways and more sustainable ways. And my second one would be for everybody all around the world, on a community level. So kind of towns and cities to just, I guess, stop consuming as much. And that goes with everything really. We're very, very, consuming kind of society, and it's nothing to do with our own kind of faults. We've been like born into it, and it's very systemic. But being like aware of that and be like, oh, okay, do I need to buy this? Or, okay, where is it coming from? Has it been shipped to this place and then back to this place and then back to me? Like food transportation is really hard. So I guess living local and localism is a big, big, big one that I think will be so beneficial. And, reality is nobody's perfect, but wouldn't it be incredible if everybody tried hard, wasn't perfect, but we had the unity? So that's my like hopes and dreams one day. But we take it step by step, day by day. Yeah.
Tell us about your eco house and how is it sustainable and renewable?
Yeah, for sure. So my mother actually built and converted this big shed in the Clarence Valley into this eco house for $25,000. She built it, and it is, it's my favorite place in the world. Surrounded by the Bungjalung forest, and just we've incorporated a lot of recycled materials in building it, and solar power with grid interactive. So being able to put more power onto the grid if we like kind of overflow with the sun power. We also have compost toilets, and they're really, really amazing, and they work really, really well. I always get surprised by that. We always try to have grey water systems, so sort of the water from your sink and sometimes bath water, it'll be filtered out and go into banana circles. So we try to grow a lot of food there and just be as local as possible, and just make those little steps. And it's definitely a lifestyle that is very gentle on the earth, and very excited to sort of be stepping that up in more ways that we can be sustainable. And it's a big learning curve, but it's one step.
It's actually absolutely amazing how you're living on food with all that. Do you ever get any hate for your lifestyle? Because a lot of us that are eco members, we sometimes do get a bit of hate, but because you obviously are very eco-conscious, do you ever get any criticism or hate for that?
I think with hate, like I got a couple of kind of comments here and there where their biggest thing is, oh, you want to, protect the ocean, but you're paddling a oil-based petroleum chemical board. And so the biggest thing is like, oh, you're a hypocrite. You say this, but you have this, like you're not pure. And it's just, you have to like sit with it, reflect on it. Okay, is there any truth in that? And I'm like, oh, do I ride that board? No. I ride like Firewide, my sponsor. They have the most sustainable surfboards and high performance boards, and I'm so excited to be able to surf them because I can surf and have a less of a heavy footprint on the planet. But when you get those questions and you're like, oh gosh, okay, there's some truth in it, and you can just come back at it saying, okay, I'm not perfect for sure. I'll admit that. I don't know this and I don't know this, but I'm learning and I am trying and I'm doing as much as I can do. And I think that's way better than just coming at somebody for not being perfect.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing as much as you can, and everybody should be proud of that. Yeah.
What would your advice be to someone like us who look up to you and want to adopt a similar lifestyle?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I guess it's just that first step of becoming, I guess, aware of your effects on the environment and the kind of community that you have, and you guys are doing an amazing job at that. But yeah, it's just these different little choices and swaps that you can do and start to realize how much you need and how much you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't need that right now, or let me try and make my own, or see those little changes take place and become more aware. And if there's any chances to raise your voice, then you've got the voice and you can use it. And if you ever need any support with that, I'm here. Yeah, to get your voice out and have that confidence to stand up. And it's our planet and it's our future, so we should definitely be having the say in it. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, as young people, we need to have the biggest voice of all because it is, of course, our future. And if we don't speak up, then we're not going to be able to make a change. But yeah. So how do you see the world looking in 2050?
Seeing a lot of like the predictions, it's definitely scary, and especially the effects on the ocean. But yeah, I try not to think too much about sort of very like you feel kind of sad and you start to get in that place where it's like, oh my goodness, we're doomed. Like, yeah, it can be very easy to kind of click into that, but I think it's about making and standing up for things that you believe in and the places that you love right now. And that if you're working towards something big, that's amazing. But just it's hard to keep finding inspiration and motivation if you're like, I think it's called like climate anxiety, very anxious about that. But just have to remind ourselves to be present and that we've still, we'll always have hope and we'll have time, and that if we just keep trucking along, that, yeah, it'll all work out how it's supposed to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one though.
How hard was it for you to change your habits and make more sustainable choices?
Yeah. It was like really hard. I was sort of competing full time and traveling around the world. I'd spend maybe 2 weeks in each place, and I was taking a lot of flights. So I kind of came to this big decision about, okay, I'm consuming way more, like flights and majority of people my age, like holy moly.
Yeah.
So I just sort of switched over to a plant-based sort of diet and stopped eating animal products. And I felt like that made me a little bit more forgiving for myself and understanding that I'm making my own difference in my own way and raising my voice as much as I can. If I've got to travel for a job, that's a thing in itself. So yeah. But yeah, so I think it's those different substitutes that you can make, and it's hard at first, but knowing that you're doing it for a higher purpose is always amazing.
So it's always the little things that count. So do you know any, or would you recommend any eco-friendly companies or brands?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody's sort of making those steps over and being more sustainable and eco-conscious, which is amazing to see. But I guess the best way for me to see if something's that truly, not only organic and sort of sustainable, but regenerative, so giving back as much as it's taking, and then also carbon neutral, so and ocean positive, which is the next step. And I've been so like blown away with the amount of companies who are making those big changes. But I think I'd be looking for the 1% for the planet symbol and B Corp. And they're like my favorite sort of corporations that work with brands to certify these things. and you can kind of rely on that a little bit more. But yeah, another big amazing thing is just supporting your local and small businesses, and knowing that it's handmade and small scale, that it's having way less of a bigger footprint on the environment than a big company. So we've all got that power to show everybody like what we're interested in supporting. And it can be hard because a lot of things push for that fast fashion and coming out with a new line like every week, every 2 weeks there's something new in the store, and I'm like, what? Like, I think it's definitely coming up to this next movement of being slow, small and simple. So yeah.
Can you tell us a little about the Ecuador cloud forest?
Yeah, for sure. So Ecuador's cloud forests are one of the top 10 biodiverse hotspots in the world. So they actually have more different species than Australia in their tiny country. I didn't even know that. It was amazing. But so we lived deep in the cloud forest in a place called Intag, and it was an incredible way to grow up. We only spent maybe 9 months there at a time, but we would go to the river, pick up a big bottle of water, have to boil it on the stove and then be able to drink it. No hot showers, no electricity. Yeah, it was hardcore, but I was so young and I only remembered the amazing moments and how much fun we had. More fun than staying at a crazy hotel, just I was getting to play with the horses every day. And it was simple, but it was amazing. And a lot of those places, I think Ecuador is one of the only countries that has constitutional rights for nature. So when kind of mining concessions come in, they've got a buffer where it's okay, there's rights of nature. Is this going to be more destructive? And sort of being aware of that presence. And it's been incredible to see. They've brought that back into court and really battling these huge mining companies and copper mines with this sort of rights of nature. And I think that'd be incredible one day to adopt in other countries, to kind of also bring that understanding that it's no, that's not just a tree. It's got a role and it's supporting us, and got to give that forest a right. So it's really cool to learn about that.
That's amazing, and Ecuador just sounds beautiful. Of course, as a surfer, you're always in the ocean. Do you ever fear sharks?
So sharks are a big one. And I guess recently, this time of year is always a little bit more kind of, it's on your mind. I kind of went through a time where I was really, really scared, and I wouldn't want to ever even think about surfing by myself. And then I sort of come into this acceptance where, okay, I have to understand the risks every time I go out in the ocean, and I can do my best, but ultimately they are, it's like lions in the desert. Sometimes you'll realize, okay, I'm not going to go out there, and trusting your gut feeling 100%. If you feel it, don't even if you think, oh, I'm just being, scaredy cat, something like that. It's 100% trust yourself, and don't put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. We actually had amazing talks with this lady, Madison Stewart, so Shark Girl Madison. And she's put together this amazing surfing guide to surfing with sharks. And so identifying all the trends that they show, and little safety things that you can put into place, like eyes on the bottom of your surfboard. And so it's really cool to see there's a bit more education, because we learn about rips and stuff like that, but we don't really have a clue what to do, you know, if we see a shark or if somebody is attacked by a shark and we're the first people to get there. Like, we were never taught that anywhere. Like, and so she's hoping to bring this into, you know, nipper schools, surf schools, and even, you know, in the classroom soon. And just so then we've got the knowledge, and like, I think that becomes a little bit of peace, because I was never ever sure what to do and how I would react. And yeah, it's a big one, and a lot of friends and friends of friends have sort of been affected by shark attacks, especially as these great whites are pushing forward, and that is like, due to a lot of environmental factors. So this deep sea fish are coming closer into shore. They're trying to find these whales that they can sort of get at the biggest, like, you know, food source for these great whites, or, you know, whales. And yeah, just identifying, okay, there's a lack of fish in the ocean. It's like, it's always going to trigger them, but there's amazing safety sort of measures that are being kind of tested, and it's not a harm to other creatures around. So like, a lot of those shark nets end up killing more things than it is saving. And a lot of dolphins and turtles and even penguins get caught in even our local shark nets, and it's really sad to see. And we're hoping that the government can be able to shift it into different ways, because then they're not effective. So
yeah, I think conservation and understanding is also really important, because people are scared of them but don't actually know their behaviors, and they're not the aggressive animals that like movies and TV makes them out to be.
Movies are especially like put stereotypes on them, and it's like everyone's scared of them, but they're really just
big fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, and for sure, like, they've got that power 100%, but you know that they are kind of like dogs of the sea, you know. And they don't have any like arms, so dogs usually kind of come up to you and just, you know, give you a little nibble sometimes. And so there's been lots of occasions where sharks have just bumped people off their boards because they've like hit them with their face to see what they are. So there's a lot of curious young sharks. But with this this guide that this my friend of mine kind of put together, it's like eye-opening, you know, so much more, and I think it makes you a little bit less like nervous. So yeah.
Out of all your boards, which one is your favorite?
Ooh. I actually just picked up 2 amazing new boards from Slater Designs, and they've done amazing like sprays on them, so it's beautiful purple and kind of a pinky purple, like all the way around the board. I'm like, but my favorite model would probably be the Slater Designs Gamma, and I have that in the LFT, and I just have it in thruster, and it just works like in any conditions, and I can rely on it. But I also love longboarding and twin finning, and I think surfing is a joy, so you got to have fun and switch it up.
Okay, and last but not least, is what is your favorite animal and why?
Ooh, that's a big one. Oh, I have to say my favorite animal is a hummingbird. And so in Ecuador, they have lots of hummingbirds. And so you'd walk outside with like a red t-shirt on, and the hummingbirds would come close. And there's a beautiful story that I was told when I was very young about this hummingbird called Kurikindi. And pretty much this, the story goes, like the forest was on fire and all the animals rushed to escape. And there was this tiny little hummingbird that went to the lake, got 1 drop of water in its beak and put it on the fire. And all the animals were laughing like, what do you think you're doing? You cannot make a difference. And, you know, as the hummingbird had this little drop of water and put on the fire again and again and again. So he said, I'm only doing what I can do. And so I think that story has stayed with me so long, and that connection with Ecuador and hummingbirds, and knowing no matter how small, you're making a difference to not give up. Yeah, you're doing what you can do.
Thank you so much for having this interview. It's been amazing. We've learnt so much, and yeah, just thank you.
Oh, thank you guys so much for reaching out. It's awesome to meet you, and congratulations for everything that you're doing. And big pat on the back. Holy moly. So awesome to see.
Thank you.
Thank you.